Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Breauxkin Theory. Today we got the homie Game from Busy Works Beats. What's going on, brother?
Living life, and I can't complain. I listened to a lot of your episodes, so I'm ready for this convo. So thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
First,
Yeah, thank you for showing up, man. Like I said, man, I've been listening to you since I first started my journey when I was homeless in 2017, man. And it's just like you've been a blessing, not only to me, but I know many producers that like when they're first starting off, you're the first name that they mention. Like I found Busy Works Beats, Busy Works Beats. I just wanted to talk how you got started with music and what your journey has been.
oh yeah, and firstly, I gotta say that's a courageous path you had. You said you were homeless and you had to live in a
Storage
what are
unit.
those storage unit.
Yep.
And you flipped the storage unit into a studio. We need to hear that story. How you went from bottom to converting into a studio? Because I kind of started the same way. Yeah,
Yeah. So
not that way. But
no, I feel it. So I mean, I was just in a horrible situation, man, and it just like, I lost my job. It was just like I had nowhere else to turn, and just, instead of sitting there beating myself up, I was like, God. Honestly, I wasn't really big into God like at that time, but like I was learning. I didn't grow up with a church background and things like that, but looking back on it now, I see that it was God pushing me to watch your videos and do something with that time that I had, that downtime, you know what I mean? And I didn't know that he was preparing me to be living my dreams full on. I mean, it's not as glamorous as, everybody else's lifestyle and stuff like that, but I'm doing the work. Eventually I'll get where I want to be. But yeah, man, I just invited the homies over. They all wanted to make music, so I was like, you gotta pay. Like
right.
y'all know my situation, man. Y'all gotta pay. So it's like, the real ones they put up, and the other ones, of course they were like, I'm not paying you, blah blah blah. All right, well, get the fuck out.
Right on. Exactly. What did
So,
Curtis King say? Hit him with the invoice.
yeah, because I mean, I went through a period of time to where like when I was up and at the top of my level, like people would come to my house and like, mess up my house, eat all my food, like, leave my shit a mess. And I'm the one engineering the session and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I'm not doing that again. Like this time I'm actually going to get paid. But yeah, man, one curiosity led me to another. And here we are.
Okay, so you followed that passion, and you were like, you saw it almost like a phoenix. How if the phoenix goes to ashes, and then they could take the ashes and reform into whatever they want.
That wasn't the way that I was looking at it then. I was just like literally, I was already making music. So I started as a rapper. I was rapping. So like I knew basics, to start recording, but I didn't know how to make beats and stuff like that. So like if it wasn't for you, honestly, because you were the only one that was really doing consistent FL Studio, tutorials on techniques and stuff. I don't know where I would have been, honestly, because not a lot of people were breaking it down like that. You know what I mean? To where it was like you can actually understand, and it's like you can kind of improvise. The way that you do it, you're not like, this is how it has to be. You're explaining the techniques, and you're like, this is, if you want this effect, you do this does that, da 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 da. You go really in depth, and it's unnecessary sometimes because like, some people just want to know one specific thing, but then there's people like me that don't know any music terminology, that it's like, I may not know why I'm learning certain things until like, I learn other things, and one goes into another, both hands wash the faith, man.
No, I feel you about like not understanding why we're learning stuff and just the whole process. But there's a reason why it flies here. He took nothing, literally negative nothing, whatever we call that, the negative nothing, which most people haven't even experienced that level of pain in life.
Yeah.
And then you converted the pain into something completely different. But that's your power, is figuring out how to take a situation and flip it.
Yep.
Donald Trump's pretty polarizing in America, I'd say. And look at what they're doing. They're flipping the USA upside down.
Oh, yeah.
They're flipping.
Yep.
And so you have a power that even some of the most powerful people in the world have. And I think once people discover that power, that's when they start to elevate and start to find out, their true passion, and figure out how to align with the intention of the creator, for example, so that it feels exciting. You should feel excited about what you guys do. I'm not talking to you specifically, but your audience. You should be excited, because fear contracts. It pulls you in and makes you small. Expansion is when you feel excited, like you want to want to do it all day long. How long do you focus on music every day, do you think? Or
Right
music
now, where
type
I'm
stuff?
at, bro, I treat it like how I would a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So like, I have kids and things like that. So like every day, pretty much during the week, I wake up at like 4 a.m. and I'm like, I get to it. I start praying, I start meditating, reading a little bit, and then I start my day. You know what I mean? So like that's where I'm at now, and it's only because literally last year I had lost my job, and it just came to a point to where I was like, man, these people don't appreciate stuff that I'm doing. Like I could go above and beyond for other people, but I'm not doing that for my dream. I'm not doing that for what I love to do. And it's like every time I start and then stop, I'm back in the same position to where it's like, I gotta kind of play catch up, and I don't know what I was doing before. And it's like, why not just go all in, struggle a little bit if I have to. And, like at least I'll be making progress to where like eventually there's gonna come to a point to where I reach a climax, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm never gonna look back. And I trusted God, and that's the reason I got this podcast. I tried to do it before, it didn't work. And then during that period of time, God told me, pick it up. Start the open mics back again, the virtual open mics. Start doing those again, and man, here we are, bro. I don't regret anything that I did, bro, at all, 100%.
Right. I love that. You're giving people a floor to get seen, and that's what people should be chasing. I think music. People think music is the product. Music is a marketing machine.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep.
The iPhone that I'm filming this on, I bought the iPhone, but they promoted Apple Music. Like the laptop I have over there, I make music on it, but I had to buy the laptop. You know what I mean? Music is the thing that gets people in the front door. And I had a similar story. Not that I was ever homeless, and I just respect that because you had a harder chasm. But in the beginning of the studio days and Busy Works Beats, I was sleeping on the floor. I think I slept on the floor more days. I still humble myself to sleep on the floor. I mean, I have carpet, so it's not like sleeping on concrete. And I humble myself to just not get comfortable. I think people get comfortable. I slept on the floor more days than in a bed, probably. If I had to guess, I would assume that. I might be wrong, but
Yeah.
they're pretty close. And I think, when I hear people who have a real chasm to jump, that I have way more respect because they actually know what it takes. Because at the end of the day, not to go on and on and on, but I can teach people how to flip the beats and make harder beats and all this, and they can promote their stuff on your channel. But if they're not going to do the work themselves, we can't save that person. Like I
Not
can't
at
save
all.
that person.
Not at all.
You have to build that up. It's a muscle. Yeah.
And I mean, like the open mic community that I'm building, and with the interviews and stuff like that, it's taking a life on its own. Like, we do it every week right now. It's gonna start ramping up pretty soon. But right now it's just once a week, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we do it. And when we come back the next week, I'm finding out people that were introduced last week are working with each other, and they're like, "Oh, I want you guys to hear this song we did," and da 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 da. So it's like it's becoming something that I didn't really think it would be, because at first, I mean, right now it's kind of like an invite only thing to where like you have to be an artist, you have to be a producer or something like that in order to, catch the show, catch the event. But now, we're gonna start opening up to the public so other people can see it. Because I mean, like, it's amazing, bro. From start to finish, we're having so many different like artists pull up, and it's not just one genre, like just boom bap or just trap or anything. Like everybody's welcome, bro. We have people from Nigeria, Germany, like, and these people have to stay up in order to catch the show. So it's like, God is the greatest, man. I can't complain at all.
That's super fire. Because think about it, people pay TuneCore $20 a year to not be seen. They pay DistroKid
Yep.
$10 a year or month to get zero streams. So it's
Yep.
like, why not immediately go to be seen?
For
You're going
sure.
to be way ahead of just paying a storage fee on somebody's server.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
go to Fly, the marketing man. Go to,
Yep.
I heard you, Curtis King, of I guess a similar show. But it's like, go to everybody, because now you've multiplied your song from not being known from a hole in the wall
Yeah.
to now you have potentially 1 million people who have just seen it. Now, out of the million, you'll have 10,000 who may follow you. Out of the 10,000, you'll have 100 who actually DM you, and out of the 100, you have 10 who actually, buy something from you.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
you have to be out there for probability to work in your favor. So,
Definitely.
yeah, they have to expand, of course.
Definitely. And I mean, that's kind of one of the things that like made me look at the game a lot different, because I see these Spotify executives, they're getting paid. They're paying themselves so much, you know what I mean? And they're taking advantage of the artists that don't know anything about music, don't know about royalties, things like that. And all those unclaimed royalties, they're paying themselves with that money. So it's like, these people don't appreciate us as artists. Now they got it to where if you don't have 1,000 streams on your song, you're not going to get paid now. So it's like it's getting harder and harder for DIY artists and independent artists to make money off of their talent. So why not use your effort to sell an actual product? So like my first attempt at this was the Biscayne Blues instrumental album I did. I dropped that on MLK Day this year, and it was completely inspired by Currency, because last year I had a run-in with where he heard my beats and kind of shouted me out on his live on Twitch. And during the point where I was homeless, bro, like he was one of the main people that I was listening to, like just kept my mindset intact, like gotta hustle, gotta stay on it, gotta get ownership. So it was big for me. So I made a whole album, conceptual. And the day it came out, he listened to it on his live and just was like, yo, I want to rap on these, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, it just came full circle and people were buying it. So seeing that money, I kind of was breaking it down to the audience and was like, I just got paid $50 for the album. Somebody gave me $50 for one digital purchase album. So it was like, this equals to, let's just say 16,000 streams. I would have to have 16,000 streams before I get that $50. You know what I mean? And certain people, like I saw, were kind of changing their plans with their next album. They already said they were going to drop. Now they're doing physicals because they get it. They understand, like, hey, we're never going to see this money unless we get these streams. We might as well just work to get the people that are actually gonna pay money for our product. The rest of the people don't really matter, honestly.
You're exactly right. Yet last night I was looking for old songs I loved, and one of those songs I remembered was off of Currency's, I think Pilot Talk or his mixtapes. He had a bunch, but I rarely bought CDs, and I bought Currency stuff. So I feel you. Like I rarely bought anybody's stuff, and he was one of those. So when you saw the correlation where it's direct to that person, it changed your mindset, you're saying? And firstly, he had the best beat. He chose your beat, and it caught his attention. That says a lot. His beats were the best.
No, I appreciate it. So like I've noticed the shift, even back when like Nipsey was doing the, $100 mixtape and stuff like that, but it just wasn't as prevalent. And now it's like getting to the point to where like Spotify executives and everybody's just pushing the little guys, you know what I mean, because they know they don't know their rights, they don't know any type of like royalties or anything like that. And me personally, bro, knowing that I know all of these artists, I kind of wanted to just be the example and just be like, I don't care how much money I'm making from it, because honestly my music is secondary, you know what I mean? So it's like all extra when it comes down to that. I do it for fun purely because I love it. But for the people that want to take it serious and want to actually make money off of it, putting your stuff on streaming, it sounds official, it's nice, I'm on Spotify, I'm on this, but you're not making any money from it. So it's like, what are we really doing here? Are you trying to make music? Or are you trying to make money? Like what's the end goal, So I just wanted to kind of just show people it's possible. All you got to do is just pitch it to the people that really truly support you, and they'll come every time.
Exactly. In a business, every time we go to McDonald's, they don't give it to us for free. When we go to Walmart, they don't give us stuff for free. And a business runs off of money, which we have to make money to keep the business alive. So instead of demonizing money like most people do, they're saying, don't give me money. This is out of the love. I created this out of love. Well, so did the owner of McDonald's when he franchised his whole operation. Yeah. If you truly love McDonald's, you actually give him money, because now you're sustaining his life. You have a family, so like your kids can't pay you anything. But when you give them something, you're sustaining their life, because that's your highest form of love in that case, is to provide your resources. And so the same thing is to understand that wealthy folks understand this, is that they have multiple streams of income, and royalties is part of that. It's similar to stocks, because stocks are considered an asset. And because the asset goes up in value, they pay less tax than if they were to earn the income as cash as an employee or business owner. So royalties are the same way. People don't know this. That's why you see Drake going crazy about the back end, because that's, you have a tax advantage similar to owning real estate. You know, it's not like a job where they just pay you a W-2. It's royalties give you a whole different advantage. So people who watch this and want to get their streams up, it starts with understanding the royalty and the importance of that. So Fly's helping you guys like up that secret that the wealthy use. So I think a lot of this ties together. We can get into the independent. I'm sure your audience wants to learn more, and I have a whole bunch of marketing techniques. So I want to learn, what's the biggest hurdle you think your audience actually has on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, the biggest hurdle, I guess, would be just like
finesse, baby,
believing in themselves. You know what I mean? Because it takes that initial step to like I'm only gonna sell this to the people that want to buy my art. You know, I feel like if you don't put yourself in the position to where you actually take that first step and do it, you're never gonna know how it's gonna turn out, and you're just gonna keep putting it off and put it off. You know, for me, I mean, maybe I'll put the music on streaming platforms one day, but just right now, I just have a bad taste in my mouth for them. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I just feel like that's a shortcut, because once I seen how the money was coming in from that, I was just like, there's no reason to even use streaming platforms now.
Right. And I'll help reframe all this. Is one, the secret that the wealthy use is to build a product, because the product you can scale infinitely. We make a song, it takes us 1 to 4 hours. We get to sell that song or the usage of the song for our lifetime. So it's first understanding the infinite potentiality of what we're creating that will help people understand, your time's not wasted. And secondly, like you said, streaming, specifically through the DSPs, they pay what, 0.003 cents per stream?
Yeah.
On average. And I can get traffic right now on YouTube. I'm paying for ads and it's 0.003 cents, meaning basically it's impossible for me to lose money on my ads that I'm running to my website. And what that means is, if I can dilute the pie and make people believe that they're going somewhere, here's the secret, and I can go into the weeds, but so stop me when I go too far, is if I'm Universal, Warner, and Sony Music, who own the landscape, how do I take out my competition when it's decentralized? Meaning there's no one building I could take out my competitors. There's no one place. They're popping up over here, because social media and Meta and Facebook and Google run the internet. I don't have control over Google, Meta, and Facebook. They've disrupted the industry through traffic, it's called. So if I can't control the traffic, I can put them on my platform, and I'm taking my competitors out the game. So when people go to streaming, they're basically on the monopoly board. Everybody says, who's the best at the monopoly? The banker, person A who buys all the properties, person B who doesn't, or the person who has a mixed strategy. And I say it's not about the players of the monopoly. It's about the person who made the board, because that is the whole game that we're playing in. Who made these rules? 0.003. Who made the iTunes rule of $1 per album, or whatever it is, song? Who made these rules? These rules were created by an entity to demolish competition. Here, businesses grow through acquisition. I can get kind of in the weeds, so I'll dumb it down a little bit. Is the only way to grow a $100 million business is to buy, like you've seen Facebook buy Instagram, for example, because they know that they can't build another Instagram. It will take forever. So we're going to buy the competition to get them out of the way.
Same thing they were trying to do with TikTok, but TikTok weren't, yeah.
Yeah, imagine if they had that. Now, so that goes on in a micro level. So when they say when Kanye said slavery is a choice, I think he didn't mean the old school black, struggle of slavery, which was crazy. I just saw a video where a whip could crack the speed of sound. So that was torture and abuse for years. But we're talking about mental and financial slavery, which is debt instruments, which is, the Federal Reserve, for example, but also too platforms like Spotify. They come as the friend, like, hey, we'll make you money. But in reality, they're diluting you from your actual potentiality, because now you can't compete against the big dogs. The big dogs, in fact, not only will they pay you 1/100th of what it's worth, they're going to pull your money. So when you forget to get your money, it goes up to the big dogs anyway. So you're playing at their casino, is basically what I'm saying, on streaming platforms. Do I think it's a great way to for people to find you, for reach? Not necessarily, because where do we go to promote our music? We go to your channel, your YouTube, we go to Curtis King's channel, we go to Instagram, we go to YouTube to make shorts. So we're not even going to Spotify to get attention. We're sending people to Spotify.
Oh yeah.
And the point I'm trying to make here is that if it's all about reach, why isn't Spotify sending people to my Instagram or sending people to my YouTube? It's not the other way around.
For sure.
So we are working backwards in that case.
Oh yeah.
So I love that you're promoting that people understand their independence. One caveat I'll say before we go into the tactics is a lot of creatives, and I guess you can agree, they're not business people. They just refuse to be business people.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that part, though?
I mean, I feel like it takes a lot to even know or want to learn the business. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of failure. It takes a lot of shortcoming, to be like, what did I do wrong? You hear people talk about it all the time, and, oh, you got to learn the music business. Donald Passman's book is a good book. But they could put all the answers in a book and people won't read it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it really depends how bad they really want it, how far they'll go into learning the business, the vinyls, the CDs, those are all things you have to independently research how to get done in order to be able to have a physical product. And in the middle of having a day job, it's hard. A lot of people give up before they even reach the start line, so I feel like, a lot of the people, when it comes down to business, they're intimidated because of how much it goes into, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And going back to your core hurdle that they face is that self-belief. Like, for example, not knowing how to supply. They're going to a vendor for a supply, researching it to say, okay, Alibaba is pretty affordable. I can get these USBs at like 50 cents per. It's half impossible to lose money. But then the question is, okay, I could sell a vinyl, for example. I'm putting a vinyl up to the cam. I know people can't see it, but it's like I could sell a vinyl, but I need to understand the utility of the vinyl. See, most people think we're selling music. And I wrote a book called, I wrote so many books. I think it's called Producer Bible. So my Producer Bible, that's my assignment is, there's three things in life that I was told from a higher revelation. One is to show love. Two is to be filled with the spirit of truth. And three is to complete your assignment. So my assignment is to give Bibles. And it costs me money to give Bibles. So I have to create a business. I have to create influence. I have to create an audience. And I said, how do I give Bibles when I don't have $15,000 laying around to send out 1,000 Bibles? Because they cost me $15 on average to ship worldwide. I said, let me write a book that can get in the hands of all these people. Basically, I flipped the parables of the Bible into modern day speak.
Wow.
And part of that was defining value. You probably heard, because do you study a lot of business people online?
I mean, whenever they pop up, you know what I mean? Right now, honestly, I've been kind of trying to stay away from like a lot of media and, outside noise and stuff like that. But if you say a name, I might know it.
Okay, yeah, I'll just credit these folks. I came up under Frank Kern, Jay Abraham, Dan Kennedy, Eben Pagan.
No, I haven't heard any of those. No. I'm definitely. You have any recommendations of books to start reading?
The list would be long, but it started with just trying to understand what success was. I always thought success was a secret group or a secret thing, but I found out it was a mindset. It's just a program you put into your brain. I didn't realize that. But I used to read all the millionaire books, Robert Allen stuff. Then I kind of ventured into Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and that led me into The Secret and trying to understand metaphysics. And then I bought a book called by Garrett Sutton called How to Start a Corporation. That's a very good book about understanding LLCs, S corps. He simplifies it from the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. And I think from there was a book called Launch by Jeff Walker. And then I learned about Frank Kern, and then Frank Kern is like my go-to person to teach me this stuff. But it was more so buying his courses and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or however I found it. I probably found it online, actually. I don't think I bought it at the time because I didn't have any money. So yeah, as far as books, and then, there's a book called The Basics of Organizing by L. Ron Hubbard. People hate the School of Scientology, but it's a very good book about organization. There's another book by him called Basic Study Manual, which teaches people how to learn. It's actually very critical to understand that, because I didn't understand that in college. Outside of those, I mean, is there a book I could? Oh, and The Personal MBA is a really good book.
Okay.
By I think it's, dang, who wrote that? Let me look it up, actually. Oh, man, Personal MBA book by, we're going to get that name. What's this guy's name here?
Sorry. I always buy my books. What did you say? What?
By Josh Kaufman.
Josh Kaufman. Okay, all right. Yeah, I
Personal
always
MBA.
buy my books off of eBay, man. So like, I'm probably gonna pick up every book that you said.
Oh, I got a list for you if you're ready to
No,
go
I'm
down that
good.
rabbit.
For sure, for sure.
And I kind of forgot what I was even talking about before the books. I guess the
We were
intimidation
talking about
of
business. We were talking about business, yeah.
yeah, and it comes down to 3 steps. I simplified it into 3 steps. It comes down to traffic. Okay, we have to get people's attention and convert the attention. The second pillar is and a value. I'm going to come back to it. Is value exchange. So the first pillar is getting people's attention. The second pillar is how do we collect their emails or sell them something. And the third pillar is keeping people's attention, customer relations, customer support, all that type of stuff, community building. So those 3 things are basically how all businesses run. And I have a whole system on how to, scale up, but that's a different conversation. But long story short, I had to define the word value in the producer Bible. And you probably heard on the business coaches, they're like, create value, be valuable. What does that even mean? And there's 5 motivations of people. The first is health. The second is wealth. That's why I keep, saying wealth terms on your channel, because chances are people are coming to your channel to go to their song feedback, to get their music promoted because they want to get royalties, because that's what the wealthy people do.
Yeah.
So they're not buying the slot, they're buying wealth. And I think a lot of people don't understand what they're actually selling. So again, it goes health, wealth, social status, power, and mastery. That's what people are buying. So when they come to busyworksbeats.com, they're going for mastery. They want to know why stuff works. I'm a scientist. I went to school for pre-med. So I really was drilled into the scientific method, why stuff works. So that's my style. People who go to your channel, like I said, could be buying wealth. Now, some people might like the fact that people see them during the live streams or during the live events. And that's a social status motivation. So they're not buying the wealth part. They don't care about the money. They care about being seen and making friends.
For sure.
So to understand what that is value. So value is delivering people to one of those 5 outcomes. Again, health, wealth, social status, power, or mastery. And once we make the marketing message a smaller bridge, a resonant bridge from point A to point B, people will buy our stuff. It's just we don't communicate that this thing leads them to that one of those 5 things.
For sure.
And I think people in music, not to go so long about this topic, but
no, you're good, bro.
So I wrote so deeply about it is people don't realize we're not selling, physical goods in this case. We're selling most of the time social status, because now they have a limited time vinyl. They can say, hey, I have the rare 1 of 100, Herbie Hancock vinyls.
Yep.
Now they have social status because of that. There's a reason wealthy people buy certain watches that are limited, or, so it's all about.
They go up in value,
They go up in value. It's a wealth signal.
Yep.
And so when you walk in a room, people know to do a deal with that guy because he has a Hublot on versus like a Rolex with diamonds in it.
Yeah. No, I
so
definitely understand.
This whole world is about signals and communication. And I would love to give your audience the secrets about, truly how to grow. I think people get demotivated because they're not being honest about why they're doing music, and they don't know how to use music. Music is a marketing tool. Like I said, it's a spirit. It gives life to something. My iPhone is dead until I breathe life into it. What is the life? The coolness, the music, to get people to animate that specific thing. And that's what music is. Like, there's a reason music went from vinyl. I don't have any CDs around here, but people are buying vinyl, the rare, limited physical asset called a vinyl. They're buying that. They're not buying music. They're buying the vinyl that is enriched with the life of music. The CD on the wall, they're buying the physical CD. I had a business acquaintance. He showed me basically at a studio complex called Forge Recording Studios outside of Philadelphia. And he went through the whole real estate deal of how he got that studio. It wasn't about recording people. That wasn't where the studio was making money. The studio was making money in the tape duplication. So he wasn't buying music and people's talent. He was buying the physical asset called tapes. And he said, okay, it's just like running a logistics company or something similar, or a warehouse, or you know what I mean, like a production company.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're selling, is the thing. So the thing will move around. So now the question is, if we don't have physical assets that are limited in quantity, and now music is digital with infinite quantity, how do we sell music? And that's where people don't understand what they're selling with streaming. They're not selling their music. They're selling access. And that's what people can't comprehend. They're selling access, because when you sign up to Spotify, you're buying a rental spot for a monthly subscription. You're buying access to have, access. Basically, it's like a club. You get in because access to all the girls or the guys, whatever your preference is, at the club. And so that's what you're buying. You're not buying people, because you can't buy people. What's the difference between you walking in versus somebody at the front door asking you for money to get in? You're just buying access. So the same exact thing. That's what they're selling. So now the question becomes, what do people actually sell? And I think they have a problem selling digital music, because they think that the music is the product. And that's, where I'm a little contrarian, I guess, against the traditional way people talk about selling music to their audience. I just think people have to use the music as marketing to give life to the actual thing that we're selling. If I'm selling education, I'm using music to demonstrate that people can make this too. They can get this vibe, they can move, because the whole purpose of music is to move people, because music resonates with people. Once you find a core frequency or a natural frequency of a person, you can move that thing. Like Jesus said, you can move a mountain with your faith, was it? Of a mustard seed. What he's actually describing, and people can't comprehend this, is that basically sound can move things, meaning waves can move things. Literally, there's scientific studies where they're lifting up rocks with sounds. So what it is have you heard of the software called, I think, Melodyne?
Yes.
So I learned this from Ray. Shout out to Ray. He's like the godfather behind the scenes of the software. He's black dude. He's just smart. He owns like the software distribution for like Guitar Center. Like that's how high level he is. And he was telling me a story about the guy who founded Melodyne. He said the way he found that software was because he was trying to find the frequency of a rock. And I said, why would you want to find the frequency of a rock? Like, it's not going to sound good. But I realized that person was thinking on a meta level. If he could find the frequency of a rock, meaning the natural frequency, everything has what's called a fundamental frequency, meaning the lowest frequency, like my voice goes probably down to like 60 or 80 hertz. I have the lowest frequency my voice can create. So everything has a specific natural frequency. And what happens in physics is when +1 meets +1, you get +2. When +1 meets -1, you get negative, or you get 0. And when a -1 part of the cycle meets -1, you get -2, which means that there's something called wave interference in this whole universe. You have positive wave interference, you have negative wave interference. It's like bubbles in a bath. You have kids. I don't know if you have the little bubble gun thing.
Bubble gun, yeah.
You ever spray it and like 10 bubbles join into this mega bubble?
Yeah, and it's one big bubble,
And that's what positive wave interference is. And the secret that Jesus is saying is not, have faith. It's to understand that everything has a frequency. And when you figure out that frequency, when you create something that oscillates at that specific frequency, you literally move that thing because of wave interference. Literally, it's a scientific process. And what people need to understand is how to identify people's identity, because their identity is like their DNA. It's a vibration. It's their core oscillation, I'll say. So that's really the secret. I kind of went on a tangent and I forgot where we even started from.
All good, man. All good.
But just to wrap that, I guess, thought up in a bow, is to say value is giving people the bridge that resonates from point A to point B, where they are to their desired outcome. We need to resonate, creating that natural frequency bond from the outcome, from where they, guide them from where they are to the outcome. And I think music is that thing. It bridges the gap. And that's what people can't understand. I'll make videos and tutorials on YouTube. The goal is not to show off my music. The goal is to say, I'm going to move somebody literally, to take action on something. I'm going to create an emotion in them, which takes over their hormonal cycle. And then they now make an action. They supersede their frontal cortex and they start going into the limbic system, where it's more raw of an innate thing.
And they want to take action on what it is that they learned. That's pretty much something that I pretty much like. When you show the techniques, bro, I can't wait to jump on, my DAW and just like try out those same techniques using, other samples or the way that I want to, or I see in my head, using those techniques, man. It's crazy. You're speaking facts, bro, for sure.
Yeah, just to give people an example, I'm not speaking from Arab, speaking from my experience, which is to say I use music to move people to their desired outcome. What is the desired outcome? Mastery of the craft, because when you gain mastery, you become higher social status. And now you could use that social status to get a mate, which most people want is to proliferate their genes. through progeny, through children. So most of what people are doing with music is try to get the girl's attention so that they can mate with the girl and then continue survival, of their genetic material, because the way we survive is not just living day to day. It's actually when our genetic fitness is strong enough to continue our genetics through our children, generation after generation. That's what wealthy people define as survival, not day to day trying to struggle to get to the next day. And this is why we have to reframe a lot of what people are facing, because until we have different definitions, we're always going to get the same, the same call for a variable. It's more of coding talk, but
for sure.
So that's why I love having these conversations.
Nah, no doubt. Definitely appreciate you, bro. What was the goal initially when you first started off on YouTube, starting your channel?
Yeah, making money. I was a broke college student who graduated. Student loans would scare me to death. I was wealth motivated, and it turned into altruism and different things. But survival, really. Yeah. That was my motivation. So one of those 5 motivators, right? It's health, wealth, social status, power, and mastery. Mm-hmm. Initially, I was trying to help my friends in a Facebook group, and I realized, wow, I'm helping more than just him. I'm helping hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. That got me addicted to YouTube. Mm-hmm. Then I said, in order for me to sustain YouTube, how do I monetize it? And that's when I got into the wealth motivation for YouTube. So, it's wealth, it's money. YouTube is basically a disruptor. It's not the exact equivalent to cable TV, because cable TV attracts higher paying advertisers.
Oh yeah.
And they have institutional money. It's a little bit different, but it's, comparable to running your own Fox News station or your own CNN or your own Discovery Channel. It really is like that, when you focus and chisel out what it is you're here to do. And basically it's just, it was my first piece of income. Imagine you just graduated college, you were fed the dream, go to college, take out student loan debt. You're going to go to med school. You find out it's not as easy as people make it seem. And then you're like, freak, student loans are still due. So you go to apply to a beginner job. They're like, hey, we need you to have 8 years of experience. I just went to school for 4 years. How am I going to have 8 years of experience at a beginner level? So you find out very quickly that, it was not all a scam, but close to a scam as you can get.
Very much.
I was like, wow. Yeah, say it again?
I said very much so.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, either I spend 4 more years in college and waste my life away, or I just make something happen right now. My back was against the wall. I made a decision and I went all into my YouTube channel because it was generating revenue as I was in college, but I didn't focus on it. It was just like cool to have. Like, okay, cool. I got grocery money now. Finally, I could pay for my groceries. Goodness. Thank goodness for YouTube. And I said, this is something that exists and it already is bringing in income. Why don't I go all the way in and see what happens? So that's when I committed to the YouTube. Pardon me. That was my first revenue source. Now, to be fair, I did have experience before YouTube in affiliate marketing. I used to sell jewelry online as an affiliate marketer. Okay. I in weird industries like just hip hop jewelry, specifically online. So I was in a weird niche before this. So I learned marketing and all this stuff before. Like it was a website called ClickBank that was popular back then. And so I learned how to make money. So I had some experience before that, and I ran a pre-med club, which was basically a business in college. So I learned before YouTube. YouTube wasn't my first place to learn stuff. And then when I got into YouTube, I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to take this $500 a month, which I thought was amazing back then. I used to tell my friend Kevin, I was like, Kevin, I made $500 this month off of YouTube. I was so excited. And that is huge to do that, make like
even to this day, you know what I mean?
Because the question is, does TikTok pay you guys? Does Instagram pay you guys? Does what's another one? Threads? Yeah. Does Facebook pay you guys? Chances are, if they do, it's very small compared to YouTube. So YouTube is really, a magical for content creators to build a living. I always recommend people start off on YouTube to build that foundation because it's very steady income once you build it up. For sure. So I went from the 500 to seeing, okay, 2,000 a month. And then you got the brand deal, the MCN deal, where now I made a dumb mistake and I went with an MCN. Now, before you got monetized, you would have to go to an MCN, they're called, to where they had the relationship with YouTube, then they pay you out. Basically, they were the middleman taking 20 to 30% of your income for giving you tools that you could have got for $15 to $75 a month at the max. So you're giving up thousands of dollars per month to pay for something you could have just bought for $75. It's for sure. we were getting fleeced for years, and I was so mad I couldn't get out the deal for 4 years, I think. And they were taking a huge part of my income. It was so frustrating that I stopped producing the content because I'm like, if this person is leeching off of me, I feel like I'm doing this almost like the feeling you had at that job, right? Like, why give all your energy to somebody else?
Yep.
And so I was so frustrated with that. So yeah, after that deal, I felt more free. But yeah, to answer your question, it's just money, because the money built the business. And once you have a business, now you have a real responsibility to evolve or die. That's the only outcome.
For sure. If someone was starting a channel, would it be best to start putting type beats out or just kind of like figuring it out? What would you suggest?
Yeah, so going to your channel, it was a little confusing because I was like, where's the podcast? Now, on the recent videos, it showed the podcast. And then I went to your oldest videos to see like older podcast videos, and then I saw type beat, and I kept scrolling, and it just said type beat, type. So you have a lot of type beats on here. What I would recommend people do is separate that entity, because to me, type beats aren't content. It's a product. And so it's almost like just me putting up my, picture of my course and maybe an explainer. Now, would people buy my course if I explained it just with a picture of my course? Probably not. So the same thing is, the same way I have to make tutorials and explain and do all these series to get people to want my courses, the same thing we have to do with music, in my opinion, especially type beat. Now, what people are buying, what they don't understand, is they are buying social status. So the more I equate buying this beat or listening to this beat to social status, the more sales I will create. In general, type beats are a little of an anomaly because people do buy them off of YouTube and they do download them through YouTube. So it is an anomaly, but I would try to separate the entities so that it's not cluttered for when you do build your catalog, for example, and people want to go back in time. Now they sit through a lot of stuff. Also, too, if you wanted to level up your, do you do shorts?
I did for a little while and then just stopped. You know what I mean? I've been taking kind of like a break, honestly, since I started the podcast, of like uploading on YouTube. It's the stupidest thing I've ever done, honestly, like looking back at it, because that's honestly was my bread and butter just all the way up until this point. But just kind of took a toll on me. Where I'm at right now, the internet isn't really good. So when I upload something, the whole house has to stop using the internet. So yeah, I just kind of stopped for a little while, but I'm coming back, man. I'm making a comeback.
There you go. Is your channel monetized just yet?
Oh yeah, just recently got it. Yep.
Okay, yeah, we need to have a plan where we say, okay, a portion of this is going to go into the fiber internet where I get 10 gigs.
Well, the money isn't the problem, bro. It's literally nobody will serve us out here because we're in the boonies. We're like in the forest. They're just now building houses out here, so it's like, it's been 3 years we've been here, and they've told us that we had to pay like, I think it was like 3,000 or 5,000 or something like that for them to start the initial construction for the whole block. And we were like, hell no, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna wait it out. And it's been 3 years, and now they tell us like, oh, next month you'll have it. And I'm like, all right, let's see.
I feel you. So you're right. That is a very specific use case. I heard of Riverside. The reason Riverside is popular is because it records locally on their computer, and it records in a higher quality, apparently.
Okay.
That way, and they can do it off their phone too. And that might give you, because I think what's missing from the podcast is simply video. We would love to see who you are, because I had to imagine who you were. Yeah, I didn't even know.
Nah, for real.
Because I had to imagine who you were. But I think it's a little bit more personable, just seeing people's faces that you can relate to, because we're people who came from the struggle. And when people see, okay, they made it through, I can too. And now people could actually see it and vibe with it. But yeah, you said type beats. Is that a strategy, you said? The initial question?
The initial question, well, if somebody was just starting out a channel, would it be best to start off posting type beats, or just like maybe like tag them as like whatever genre they are? You know what I mean? There's a war on the type beats, so I just figured I'd ask your state on that.
Yeah, I think people tend to overly generalize because we have confirmation bias. So, for example, those three pillars of online business, you have traffic, value exchange, and then the customer relations. So if I had to equate this to YouTube stuff, traffic would be content, meaning how do I demonstrate how to take somebody from point A to their desired outcome of health, wealth, mastery, social status, or power? That's content to me. And the value exchange would be, how do I create a product that solves, the path from going point A to point B? That would be a type beat in this case. So YouTube is a traffic-based platform, not a product-based platform. Yes, some people did get lucky with the keywords, and yes, some people can leverage the algorithm, but the way it works on the back end is, you want to center around keywords that are more consistently, they have more consistent volume. It's kind of like stocks or crypto, for example.
Yeah.
You can find have you seen the Trump coin, for example?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it shot up to 15 billion market cap, but then it quickly went back down to like 3 billion or whatever it is now.
Yep.
And people check, like, what's the boss man D-Lo? That's a common type beat, right?
Yeah. I haven't really been in the market too.
These kids are like, yeah, if you want to get paid, do boss man D-Lo type beats. But, that's going to last for as long as his marketing campaign lasts. And once people want to stop being like him, it will drop off tremendously. And now if they build their whole business around that, they're risking, it's almost like putting all your wealth into one stock. If the stock goes up, you feel great. But if it shoots down 20, 50%, you're going to feel crappy.
Yeah.
And people tell you to focus on niches. I think that's the biggest lie on YouTube, is to get too overly focused on a niche. Google bought YouTube, and Google has the most traffic on the planet. I think OpenAI just put on Twitter the difference. I think they get 88 billion searches a month. I might be off on the numbers. They get a tremendous amount of searches. That's 10 searches a month per person on the planet. Just to give people an example of the equivalency there. And if Google bought YouTube, they're going to be in the same, it's like if you have your children, they're going to look like you.
Yeah.
So if Google bought YouTube, YouTube's going to look like Google. So if Google's whole source of income is advertising for the most part, chances are YouTube has the same goal, to monetize through advertising. Advertising works off of word searches, it works off of volume, it works off of traffic. I'm buying 1,000 people's attention. I'm buying 1 million people's attention. So if we're on the opposite side of that, we need to be in keywords that can garner that much attention. My fiance's here. I'm going to greet them in a second, but they should hear me through. Actually, they're fine. And my point is, it's about keywords that have the volume, but not only volume today, volume over time, like rap beats, hip hop beats, freestyle, instrumental. If you guys are going to go for keywords like that, go for more broad keywords, because by the law of averages, if there's 10 million views a month in the market, even if you get 10%, that's 1 million views. Even if you get 1%, that's what, I don't know the math. 100% or 10,000? I don't know the math. Whatever 1% of 1 million is,
all
10
good,
million.
bro. All good.
And it's what I'm trying to teach people is to stop chasing the shiny object, because that shiny object will dim very quickly. So long story short, do it. If people do it, separate it. People want to see personas. They care about the story. There's a reason Murder Beats, Metro Boomin, are standouts from the producers. Like, think about it. How do you define a super producer? What's your definition?
I would say it would be an example like Pharrell, Timberland, somebody who can cross genres and do whatever they want, but uniquely sound like themselves, if that makes sense.
Okay, so something where we can identify them?
Yeah. Not necessarily but with Pharrell, you have his 4 count, but there's something about the choices he makes creatively. You know what I mean? And same thing with Timberland with the drums and things like that. Like when you hear it, you can tell it's a Pharrell beat. You could tell it's a Kanye beat. You could tell it, Timberland. Those are the examples of super producers of what I think. What do you think?
No, I think that is a common trait for sure. I think scientifically, I would maybe retort and say, what if there's another person in Oklahoma somewhere that has that same, distinctive trait, but they're just not known. So to me, my more broad definition, and I'm willing for this to be challenged, is I think a super producer is actually both a producer and an artist. Think about Kanye. He's not just known for making beats for Jay-Z. He's known for being his own artist. Pharrell, the same thing. He's not only known for producing for, Nelly Furtado or one of them, or Gwen Stefani, I meant to say, but also known for his solo act, the Neptunes as a band. So if we really think about it, super producer Timbaland, he's an artist producer. Kanye, artist producer. Metro Boomin, he actually rapped. So he's an artist producer. You know, who else is like a big producer? Scott Storch would be one where he didn't rap. Dr. Dre, though,
Yep.
artist, producer.
But like, so you're
And
saying they basically could step outside of themselves and arrange the song based off of knowing, like, okay, the hook is gonna go here. This is, you know, they're at least somewhat fluent with the way that the song is gonna be created, at least how they're creating it, right?
that could be true. I was more so trying to tie it back to the fact that these people have a persona outside of the product. Outside of the product building skills, they have a marketing persona. The
Gotcha.
person behind the content. Like Dr. Dre was in videos, he was being seen. You know, that's why Puff Daddy was all the way in the video, because he knows that there's value in building a personal brand. And so most producers want to hide behind the scenes, make a faceless channel, a type beat channel, and never show their face. And you know, we're leaning into the world of AI soon. I forget the exact book. I'll have to like go through my book knowledge about this, but there's a book that explains how in the world of AI, what people are going to be seeking more so than anything is human expression that's exaggerated, because it helps authenticate the information that they're receiving. Because nowadays anybody can fake a Photoshop picture, anybody can fake video. So what do you really believe in today? You believe extreme human emotions. That's the only authentication we have left in this AI world. And so in order to do that, we have to show our face. You know, we have to be in conversations, podcasts. We have to be building a personal brand. So in order to do that, that requires content, talking head videos. It could be tutorials. It could be just vlogs. But ultimately, I would say that the product is the type beat. The traffic builder is the content stuff that everybody, you know, confuses with type beats and products like that.
No, I agree. That was a great breakdown. How much does music theory matter for producers who want to make beats?
I could show somebody right now who knows nothing about music theory. You can hear this piano? Can you hear that?
No, I can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear the piano?
No.
Okay, so I don't know how to make the piano hearable on that end. But long story short, I could close my eye and pick any note on the keyboard. Okay, now I know you guys can't hear it on you guys' end, but basically what it does is, this is the 0 point, I call it. These are chord codes. I teach a system called chord codes. I can teach anybody, a child, if they learned how to count, how to make a chord. So you start anywhere on your keyboard. Look, I'm going to close my eyes. You can't hear it, so it's kind of arbitrary here. Maybe if I go to system audio. Oh, you know what? It might be the echo thing, I think, is on here. There's some echo cancellation thing. I don't know how to turn it off. You know,
I heard that,
though.
I heard you.
You hear this part?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, wherever I land on the keyboard is 0. I have a chord code chart at busyworksbeats.com/music theory. You can hear that note? I just want to triple check.
Yep.
Okay, so this would be, in this case, my son is like crying, so forgive. So this would be the 0 point, and then basically we're going to count up the keyboard to finish out the chord code. So the major chord, for example, is 0, 4, 7. Whatever that first note is 0, and all I have to do is count up the keyboard note by note to finish out this chord code. So if this is 0, I don't even need to know the name of the note. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear those two? Okay, and then so that's 0. I'm just counting to 4, and then 5, 6, 7. Play all those notes together, you now have a major chord. It doesn't matter where you are on the keyboard, it doesn't matter your knowledge. So I could show people literally in under a minute how to make chords like this. What if you wanted to make, for example, a minor ninth chord, which is a very jazzy chord? That chord code would be 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. So I have a chord code chart to where people can reference this, but I'm gonna start here at D because it's a nice chord, a nice note. So we're gonna make the minor ninth chord in this 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. This is different than scale degrees, by the way. So here's 0. I'm gonna count up my keyboard. 1, 2, 3. Play those two together. That's called a minor third. 4, 5, 6, 7. 0, 3, 7. Plays the minor chord. And then 0, 3, 7, 10 plays the minor seventh. So 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm just counting up my keyboard. And then let's add the ninth, it's called, which is 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Play all those notes together. You have one of the jazziest chords in all of music by counting. So I can show anybody how to count and get deeper into music, where you guys can make stuff like this. Okay. Really complex stuff. Or we could do something like this, just to give people an example. This is a B minor ninth. And then we can learn what is this? F flat, dominant ninth, and then back to B. That jazzy R&B sound?
Yeah,
And that's a
yeah.
sharp 5, sharp 9.
Okay,
So
okay.
I could take basic number and I could show people really complex music theory to where it's not intimidating anymore, because we're intimidated when these guys get on YouTube and they're like, all right, guys, let's make the major scale. We have a flat third, sharp fifth. We're going to do, we're going to transpose the chord. We're going to use the dominant. It's like using all this language that you have to learn. It takes forever to learn. So yeah, the answer is music theory is the answer for a lot of people struggling with melody, especially musicians who can't find out the key of their auto-tune alone.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, music theory can definitely catapult a lot of people.
Was there ever a moment where you felt like quitting, and what got you through it?
Oh yeah, that's true. Just a lot of time. Not really quitting, but more so not knowing the next step. Put it that way. Because entrepreneurship, because that's how I define this stuff that we're doing, is an infinite battle. Pardon me. I see business as economic warfare. And so the average person, they're turning their hobby into getting paid. But to me, this is very serious. So I treat it like that. And people can demonize me for whatever. But I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, we humans are fighting for resources, because the resources create protection for our genetics, because we want to protect the children, because that is our genetic imprint on the next generation and how we continue our genetics. The first commandment in the Bible is be fruitful and multiply. Do you think it stops at money? Do you think it stops at influence? Do you think that stops at our genetic material?
No.
So it's embedded in us to expand. That's how the universe is work. If we're aligning with the creator, what's the creator doing? That's basically the creator is expanding. So if we're not expanding, are we really being aligned with the creator? If we're contracting in fear, we're not aligning with the creator. So
Not at all.
if I want to be like the creator, I'm going to expand. I kind of, I went on a tangent, and I forgot the wordage of how you worded that question. I just want to make sure I'm tackling the wordage of it.
I was just asking, is there a moment that you felt like quitting?
Okay.
And if so, what did you do to pretty much get out of that?
Yeah, basically the trick is to map everything into steps, a process. Like people have blind faith, and I think that's dangerous, because blind faith can lead to a lack of measuring risk. Because business is all about risk. To make it a street example, like Scarface. Have you seen that movie?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And how he worked up from like washing dishes to now being on the corner to being in that hot tub that's like huge or whatever. And so the way people, I say this all the time. I say, think about Sosa in the movie. Was Sosa washing dishes? Was Sosa on the corner? Was Sosa on the streets, almost getting shot? Yeah, so Sosa avoided risk. And my point is, when you grow in business, you have to mitigate risk. Sosa was not doing hand-to-hand transactions because he knows that you have a higher chance of being locked up for that. So he's hired a Scarface to go risk Scarface life and freedom in order to, make income. But he exchanged his money because people are so, afraid to give up money. But money buys you not only time, it lowers your risk once you measure the probability of something happening. I know we're getting a little in the weeds, but my greater point is, think about Uber, for example. How does Uber make money? They don't have cars.
Yep.
So Uber has drivers who risk their own car. They risk their own mileage. They risk their own maintenance. They risk their own health and life, quite literally every single day, to get people from point A to point B. Uber just has an app that's scaled that connects people. That's it.
Yep.
But they lowered the risk. And so I think blind faith is risky for that reason. I went on that arbitrary tangent. Now, it seems arbitrary, but I went to say that blind faith is not understanding if you're Sosa or you're Scarface.
Yeah.
Okay. The process is understanding that if I do step 1, it leads to step 2, that leads to step 3, that leads to step 4, it leads me to my desired outcome. So I think mapping stuff out in steps with definable, measurable steps. So if you guys have a goal at home, let's say what's your goal for your YouTube, for example?
For this year, I'd like to be a lot more consistent, honestly. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely.
If we had to put that to a number so that we could hold you accountable, for example, what would consistency look like for you?
Just back to posting a beat every day again. At one point I was doing that. Last year, I kind of burnt myself out because I just wanted to prove something to myself that I could do it. And I was dropping 5 beats a day. You know what I mean? For I want to say maybe like 3 months, and I just burnt myself out. And of course, with having a job and everything, I just kind of gave it up. But now where I'm at, I'm like, I don't need to do that. I'm just gonna post one beat a day, and just like keep it going. You know what I mean?
Right? No, I feel you. Is that happens to a lot of us. And what keeps me going is when I say faith, I don't mean blind faith. And I was saying that example to say faith is in the process of understanding how to reverse engineer a goal. So for example, let's say your goal is 30 beats in a month. You know you need at least one beat posted per day on average. You might not do them all every single day because you want to spend family time and go to your job, etc. You might post 5 in a day because you worked on them slowly throughout the week or however your cadence is. And so the goal is to say, if I at least publish one beat a day on average, I'm going to get to my goal of 30. Most people, when they're doing stuff, they don't define their end goal. So when they put up the beats and put up their songs, they don't have a destination. So they think that they're just wasting energy, wasting time. But what we also have to measure is too, let's say your goal was a certain amount of views. Do you know how many views you get about on average per video or per month?
Shoot, for me, it used to be like 400, anywhere from 400 to 1,000 per beat.
Okay, so let's go to a website called viewstats.com. This is a little more accurate than Social Blade. Have you heard of Social Blade?
Nah.
Okay, so these are websites where we can measure social interaction. So here's some tactic for you guys at home. So it shows me here you get, it says 2,000 views in the last 28 days, pardon me, which is up 100%. Now, if you didn't know you were up 100%, you'd be like, oh, I'm only getting 2,000 views. Oh, I'm not getting 20,000 like these other people who I'm comparing myself. That 20,000 to them could be negative 50% growth.
For sure.
So it's all about how are we growing in respect to where we were. So that you have literally grown your business double in the last 30 days. Now, if I went to the 3-month chart, it says you're down 10K, probably because you deleted videos of some sort. Did you delete a bunch of videos?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And then in the year, it says, give me a second here. It says you have all-time 1.6 million views on your channel.
Okay.
So if you have you have 3.76. I went to the 1-year chart.
Okay.
Did you know that you have 3.7 million views on your channel?
I knew I reached the millions. I got like an email or something last year, but yeah, I didn't know it was that much.
Maybe we're getting bad numbers from here, but if I go to your YouTube, I'll go to YouTube in real time. And people listening in, we should do this all together. Type in Fly Nonsense, go to the channel. And what we need to do is do this for ourselves. So we go to our channel. Your beat started playing. Okay, you have 11,000 subscribers. You have 3.7 million views. Okay, so that's huge.
Because I put out like 2,000 beats like over the span of like, you know what I mean, just me doing it.
Right, and people are like, "Game, how do you get?" They always talk crap. They're like, "Oh, you have 1 million subscribers. You only get 1,000 views per video." It's like that's not how YouTube works. It's search based. Search based. It requires time horizon,
and especially with the algorithm. I mean, it's not. Its job is to keep you on the app. So it's not like if you don't normally click on tutorial videos, even though you're subscribed to Busyworks Beats, it's not going to show Busyworks Beats video at the top of the list to all of his subscribers. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of like shadow ban in a way too. Like if people don't click on your stuff like recently too. So.
Right, the go-to measurable click-through rate is about 5%. If your video is not above 5% click-through rate, they won't put it on the homepage because, the law of averages says, why waste that space when I could use that space for somebody who gets a higher click-through rate? So you're exactly right. And I'm saying all this to say, you have thousands of videos like myself. I have 6,500 videos plus. So it's going to take volume, and I think people are afraid of volume. They're so worried about getting 20,000 views on one video. It's not, different strategies for different folks. Long story short, I'm going to use my calculator app here because this is going to give people a definitive tactic. So we have 3,760,000 views. Let me make sure I typed in enough zeros. That's a lot of zeros. Let's divide that by 2,168 videos. Now, most people quit when they make 2 videos. They're like, I'm not getting the results. You have 2,000 videos. 1,000, and they're quitting at 2. So what I'm saying is they're not putting in enough effort. So on average, your videos get about 1,700 1,734 views. So basically 1,734 views per video. So if your goal is to now reach 20,000 views in the month, you just divide that number. Okay, 20,000 divided by 1,700 gives you, now you know if your goal is to reach 20,000 views in the month, you need to publish 11 videos at minimum. And now that's over a time horizon, but that's how people need to think. It's like this. I'll simplify it because we went into YouTube tactics, but think about, shooting a basketball. Do you watch sports by any chance?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's your, you got a Giants shirt on. So what's your
Knicks,
go-to?
Giants, Yankees. I'm all New York across the board.
Okay, so I'll go basketball because most people understand that instead of football, it's a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
But let's say, in basketball, let's say my free throw percentage is 50%. In order for me to make 1,000 shots, I actually have to take 2,000. That's where people, they don't calculate their effort. So when you said consistency, I wanted to put a number to it because I need to know how many videos I need to put out and how much hour, we need to go all the way back to how much time per day does it take me, and really calculate the energy behind the number, because that's how we can manage time a little bit better. But longer story short is, in order to make 1,000, the goal is not 1,000. The goal is 2,000 because now, or not the goal, but the target, I should say, is 2,000 because now I know if I'm 50% accurate, I need to take 2,000 shots. Most people, they don't measure their accuracy or their average outcome. And what happens is, they are, I think Curtis King said to Grant Cardone has a book called 10X Rule, where he said 10X your goal. It's because most people don't measuring accuracy. Okay, so like I said, if Kobe wants to make 1,000 shots and his free throw percentage is 50%, he needs to take 2,000. But most people put, my goal is to take 1,000 foul shots on their goal sheet.
Yep, and they're always going to fall short.
Yeah, simply by that simple equation. And it shows me too that about 1/10 of your traffic comes from shorts. You have about 200,000 views on shorts lifetime. So if I'm getting 1/10 of my portfolio to shorts and it's giving me that many views, I would double down because I would take it up to at least 50% because basically TikTok is in a war with YouTube right now for attention of short form, and whoever dominates will gain the market share for life. So they're gonna help us push our stuff in shorts because they need the ammo to fight the TikTok war.
Oh yeah.
I think if you just triple double, I think once you go visual with the podcast, however you figure it out, I think Riverside's a great solution though. We have 7 minutes left. Sorry, I was talking too much.
All good, bro.
Is to use Opus Clip. It's an AI that chops up your video automatically. It adds subcaptions and everything. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
And I use CapCut for those who are looking to do captions for their videos. You don't have to pay for the monthly thing unless you want captions, but you guys can use CapCut. That's a free video editor. At least it was free. I don't know if you can get it on the App Store. But yeah, I want to give people as much ammo in the next 6 minutes as possible. So if you could shove me things that they struggle with, and I'll give them a real tactic in real life, what I use to grow my audience.
I mean, if you could use only 3 plugins for the rest of your life, which ones would they be?
I would say one's called MD4HD by TC Electronic. It's a multi-band compressor. FabFilter's Pro L2 is really good. And maybe Pro C2 if I had to buy FabFilter. If I had to pick only 3.
For sure. How has teaching changed your approach on making music? Like, do you still make music for yourself? And how has it changed, that situation?
Yeah, live stream music making. I actually made a beat last night that was fire. So long story short is, I forgot the question. Teaching basically taught me to accept that there's multiple ways to get to the answer. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 6 minus 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 4. And we have to respect all those perspectives. And I think people who are too rigid in their ways, they're not actually teaching, they're indoctrinating, which is not the same thing. But teaching basically gave me more patience to understand there's more perspectives to get to an answer, but also to understand that there's a deeper meta layer to most of everything we study. Because people think they know about phase. Do you really know about phase? Do you know about all band pass filters? Do you know about wave cancellation? Do you know about resonance? How that even exists? How does oscillation created? We can get to metaphysics about it, but there's always a layer beneath but also too, we don't, the complexity to get to more high levels can be more varied than people think. Meaning to get to 6, it could be 2 times 3. Yeah, 4 plus 2. There's different ways to get up, but there's also infinite ways to go down. I know that sounds esoteric, but
No, for real. I mean, it's honest. A lot of producers are struggling with marketing themselves. What do you feel like is the best way for someone to stand out as a producer in 2025?
yeah, I'll give you guys the cheat codes. So firstly, build a Discord. This is how you retain the attention of your audience. Secondly, use ManyChat. They're a partner with Meta. If you guys are scared to use a chatbot, it's a partner, official partner with Meta. And basically use their lowest plan every 2 weeks or so. Go delete your contacts so you're not billed for people. Because I forgot to do that and I was running up a bill. Basically, you use ManyChat so that whenever you make a post on Instagram, you say, comment the fire emoji in order to get something for free or to check out my song or whatever. Instagram CEO has an interview where he says that what they value is actual message responses and sends to the messages. So if we can get people to basically message us on the app, that gives a signal to Instagram that this is valuable. Also shares. But the way you do that is through ManyChat. So that's the key. Now, as far as YouTube, you want to look at YouTube Shorts because you can run a YouTube Short that does very well. And what you could do is put like $5 behind it, and you can get hundreds of subscribers for $5. Most people don't know this is a super cheap traffic source right now. I'm using it. That's how I passed the 1 million subscriber mark. I went from, we literally got like 300,000 followers in a matter of 3 months with this strategy.
Wow.
And that's 30% of my entire audience. And I got that in 3 months because of the strategy. So that's why I said this is an opportunity we have to, get now before it evaporates.
Yeah.
So long story short is use, my criteria is a video that I post my videos everywhere. Minute, the limits have increased. I'm trying to like rush this message, so forgive me.
You're all good.
The limits have increased on all the social medias, but about a minute video, you can post that to all platforms without any issues. Long story short is anything that goes above 20,000 views on YouTube with 1,000 likes, I then push to the promotions tab of YouTube, inside of YouTube. That's not a third-party company. And when you do that, you can kind of measure the results. And I can say, okay, if I'm making, 41 cents per subscriber in the next 28 days on average, then I know I could spend up to that amount and still be positive or, break even if anything. So I'm getting subscribers for 4 cents, which means I'm going from taking my 4 cents and at the end of the month, it is 40 cents. So that is 10X for those who, need help calculating that. Yep. What stock gives you 10X every month on month? What, crypto goes 10X every single month. So that's why I said this is an opportunity. I haven't even seen this on Facebook. I've run over $400,000 on Facebook ads. And I can tell you guys, this is the cheapest traffic source I've ever seen in my lifetime. Cheaper than TikTok, cheaper than Meta. I've had on Facebook, somebody, go into my website for like 9 cents per click.
Wow.
So you can scale up really fast is my point. You can go from, and what you're doing is you're just reinvesting your ad revenue anyway, and you're multiplying it by the end of the month. So it makes sense to just do it. Any other tactics? I would say you guys need to go with Flowdesk. We found out that that's a very cheap alternative to MailChimp and to ActiveCampaign, which I used to promote, Klaviyo and all that. Don't waste your money on emails. Get Flowdesk if anything. The number one thing you guys need to do is collect emails and text. So go to a website called Framer. You can build free websites. What you do is you make an Instagram post, for example. Use ManyChat to say comment fire. Once they comment fire, they get a DM that has a link to your opt-in page. You send people to what's called an opt-in page on the free Framer. Framer collects their emails or their text or whatever. Framer sends the information over to Flowdesk, where you gather people's emails. Over Flowdesk, you then market back to people who sign up to your email list about your Discord. So you get people in your Discord, and then you can also talk about your products. That's how you should be building your business. Anybody talking about anything other than that, they don't know how to run a business. So that is the secret key. And I know we have like 30 seconds left. So
we got 30 seconds left, man. I just want to shout you out, man. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to, kick it with us, bless us with some game. What's coming next for Busy Works Beats?
Life. So remember those 3 things: show love, be filled with the spirit of truth, complete your assignment. That's all they really need to know. So peace out,
Amazing.
guys. I'm gonna catch you next time, whenever
For
you're
sure.
available.
For
Peace out,
sure.
buddy.
All right, brother. Good meeting you. All right.